when people are living in the same home, I know that you've had cases and I've had cases where anything from literally lines being drawn down the house to someone living in a guest house, someone in the main house, to I actually had a case where we had a PowerPoint on who could be where in the house at what times. What's your suggestion when going through a divorce and being in the same home? How do you cope with that?
The first thing I want people to know is separate bedrooms. I have people going through a divorce that have ownership of the master bedroom and they're still sleeping in the same bed. That is a ticket to disaster for so many people. So designate another room, separate, move your things out of the room if you're the one to leave. Negotiate that. Negotiate the tasks. Just because maybe there's a stay-at-home parent, they may not want to continue to cook your food or do your laundry. Have a discussion about that. Set up expectations. Set up a time-sharing schedule within the home. Who is doing what on what days? It also gives you the opportunity to start letting go of that role or taking on that role with the children. Because we don't see in parenting plans that the way things were continue to be that way. So if somebody is a stay-at-home parent, that doesn't mean they're going to have that same opportunity with that same day-to-day caregiving. So it's a way to ease into those transitions for not only an adult, but for the kids to have another parent packing their lunch, helping with homework, driving them to Girl Scouts, whatever it is. So try to negotiate those things the best that you can.
And I think that's great advice. And I think it's also good to, again, consider a third party being involved in those discussions, whether that's a psychologist, a counselor, someone, because those are tough things to talk about. They sound simple and basic, but, whomever has always packed the lunch or taken out the trash through the years could have a bit of resentment if they're now being told you do or don't get to do that anymore.
Well, I was going to say that we don't know as non-divorcing people what the rules are. We don't know what a parenting plan is. We don't know what shared parenting is. So I love your suggestion of getting a mental health professional involved, taking a shared parenting class so you start to educate yourself, so you don't position yourself outside of what's really going to happen. So education, seeking professional consultations becomes essential.
Absolutely. And one of the other problems, just, human nature, is you have a conversation with somebody and you agree to something, but you're not educated. And then you get educated and go, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But once you've agreed to it, it's hard to get back out of it. So,
well, I tell people all the time, I tell people all the time, you will be an expert in divorce when this is over, not when you're going through it. Correct. And your next door neighbor is an expert in their divorce, but their divorce has nothing to do with your divorce. So be careful where you get advice. People are very well-meaning. And I hear this particularly in parenting issues and alimony issues. Well, I got X dollars. Why aren't you getting X dollars? Next door neighbors. That doesn't work that well, Rebecca, correct?
I agree with you 100%. I call those individuals good friends, meaning well, but I call them shadow advisors. And I often ask my clients, who's your shadow advisor, or who's your spouse shadow advisor that I need to know about? Who are their confidants that are telling them things that may or may not be correct, and they mean no ill will necessarily. Some cases they do, but mostly not. And they're trying to give their life experience, but that could have been 10 years ago, and the law is different now, or they may have misinformation. So I think it's really important to look at your resources and who you're talking to make sure that it's correct.
Right. I think that our friends and our family advocate for us, but they may be advocating based on misinformation. Right. And that puts people in a terrible position they have to come out of right. Because they get entrenched in that idea.
Yeah, and it's great that they have their friends and family. That's wonderful. to be their support. But for them to giving advice, there's so much incorrect information out there. Sometimes it astounds me when somebody comes and tells me what they think the law is, and it's just completely wrong, to try to guide them back. And they may have heard that from someone they care about very deeply. So I'm glad they had that person, but you got to make sure you get the right advice.